Welcome to Just the Who of Us, hosted by Reah. This is a space for honest, thoughtful conversations around mental health, life journeys, holistic wellnesses, and the experiences that shape who we are. Take a breath, settle in, and join Reah and today's guests as we explore the stories that connect us.
I'm so excited to just have a conversation with you because, man, you are inspirational, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's been an incredible journey, and what I just keep being reminded over and over is to just continue to, be in my heart and show up, and that courage comes from showing up. And that was my Toolbox Tuesday today. Courage doesn't come from, you know, just come out of the air. There was this moment where I was like, courage is not coming knocking. Courage comes when I get out of the fucking blue chair
Yeah. Yeah.
and open the freaking door.
I agree. So it's funny because I've been there also. My ex-husband and I, we stayed in the same house together for a while before we split, and it was kind of like a mixture of trying to keep the kids in a stable home. Um,
Mm.
we were both products of divorce, and we wanted to give the kids what we didn't have. But I had to, at one point, just say, you know what, we have to be done with this because our kids were seeing more negativity in the home with the two of us than with us separately.
I think back to where I was, even knowing I've since learned that I was going through menopause while all this was happening.
Do you have any kids?
I do. I
You
have 18-year-old twins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I homeschooled them for the last 7 years. And my son is an incredible human. When he was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with autism. And I was quickly told that he wasn't going to amount to anything. He was nonverbal. He
Mm.
didn't speak. He lost his ability to walk, and he just hummed. And now he graduated 2 years early from high school, is finishing up at college, and doing incredible things.
That's amazing. Honestly, that's a whole conversation that we could have by itself. The kind of judgments of expectations of children diagnosed with autism.
Mm.
Um, Even if certain quote unquote, I don't even know if I want to call them standards, but expectations or milestones aren't met, these children still contribute so much to the world in their own communities, in their families. My cousin, she adopted two children. They both have autism, but they're on like opposite ends of the spectrum. And one, she can walk, but she can walk and move on her own, but she is nonverbal. She just kind of like makes sounds and things like that, but she doesn't speak in fluent words. And then the other one who she's in, I mean, they both go to school, but the other one, she's like acting in plays and doing all these things. And, like, I mean, they both are they're so impactful to their communities, to their families, and to the school. And, even the one that can't perform in plays and things like that, she still very positively impacts her school, her family. So it's crazy to me. I have never, I haven't had a child diagnosed with autism. The closest thing that I know personally would be my little cousins. But just the way that people make these kind of assumptions it's insane to me because they still generally are such a blessing to society in some capacity. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, the expectations and the stigmas are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely Nolan, my son, has been one of my biggest teachers by far.
Hmm.
And I didn't know it when it was all near the beginning. And I've shared this story many times before too, when I was in the middle of my chemo. I remember her sitting across the table from me, and she just started to cry. And I remember looking at her going like, what's going on? And she says, Shannon, I don't even know how to tell you. I just remember sitting there going, oh my goodness, like, I don't know. I don't know if I can like take much more.
Right.
Those are the moments that make us who we are. Those are the moments that, yeah, transform us.
Very much so.
Go to those depths, and I think about even you having the opportunity to have your son so young. Those are the things that you think, oh my God, is this really happening? And then on the other end of it, the joy that you can experience on the other side of these really hard conversations where we think, oh my God, we're never going to get through this, but there's always something incredibly beautiful on the other side.
Yeah, it really does. It seems like things just kind of pile on sometimes, but also that is something I've learned a bit of on perspective. And it seems that way, and sometimes it's a little bit of, for me at least, okay, what is the message here? Because I could break down. I could just say, you know what, I'm not doing any of this and just give up and just kind of give in. And of course, there's times where it's felt like that, right? Because we're human and we have emotions and we do have a level of tolerance, And then there's other times of kind of clarity where you're like, you know what? And I know that you went through this because you got through it. There's times where you're just kind of like, you know like, one or two things can happen here. I can give up, or I can just say, you know what? All right, how am I going to get through this? One of the things that I've learned, and this is also because I have not received a potential terminal diagnosis before. So it might be easier for me to say than someone who has been through a cancer diagnosis and come out the other side, to kind of look and say, it's easy to say, or it's easy to feel that way. But I've learned to kind of look at things like, okay, well, I got through this, I got through that. And every time you're in it, it feels impossible. But when I look back at the things that I have gone through and I've gotten through, it's like, okay, this seems difficult. It feels difficult. It is difficult. But if I've gotten through this, I can get through this,
Yeah, exactly what you just said. When I can pause and look back on all the things that I've moved through, all of a sudden the things seem a lot like, it's just like I can do anything actually. If I can sit in the middle of a chemo treatment with frozen gloves on my ice gloves on my hands and my feet, so my fingernails and my toenails don't fall off for my entire chemo treatment, I'm pretty sure I can stand up on a stage and speak in front of people.
I feel like I could, but like, I don't know. Like, I can do this all day long. I sometimes I do it for 4 hours back to back. It's fine. But I don't know. I feel like being on TEDx is a massive accomplishment, because I feel like I could say that I could do that, but I haven't done it. And I could get up on the stage and completely, like, ADHD brain and like forget everything or notice all these little things going on and get distracted and totally tank it. Like, I don't know.
I think you would kill it. So I have ADHD as well. And when you get into that moment where you're just on the stage and it's you in front of 500 people, it's literally go time. And that's what I did. I just got up in front of the people, and the most amazing thing was that the lights were so bright I could only actually see the first row of people.
Nice. That's
like
helpful.
I could see like the 500 people out there I was standing in front of. But I mean, I had two incredible TEDx coaches that were just so cheering me on. And yeah, it was just an incredible, that was actually my first opportunity to speak with my TEDx.
Wow. Wow. What a leap.
Oh, right? Talk about starting from the end.
Just go all in. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, just go hard. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was amazing.
Oh my gosh. You're the second person that I know that has been on that stage. And it's not something that I've had the confidence or courage to say, maybe one day. Maybe one day. It's possible. I don't even know like where to start. I don't like so,
It starts with a belief.
Yeah.
It literally starts
with
a belief. I was in a women's business group, and here's the guy's name. He's the organizer. I literally gave him a phone call and I said, my name is Shannon Donohoe-Simpson, and I want to be on that stage.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me the questions. They hadn't even opened up the opportunity to apply. I got the questions. I sat down with my TEDx coach. We wrote out the questions to what my talk was going to be. I got in my car and I drove with my son all the way out for 2.5 hours, and I handed in my questions. And for the next months moving forward, I emailed him every single 2 weeks and I said, I can't wait to be on that stage. I can't wait to be on that stage. And then I remember sitting on my coach's driveway when this fellow phoned me, the organizer, and he's like, you were the very first person to hand in your questions, and let's do this. Those were his exact words. Let's do this.
Wow.
And so that was how it all happened. Maybe a little bit of tenacity, and
right.
I was like, let's go. Let's go.
That's amazing. Yes.
Write the words. When we say the words, like I'm like, look up, you can see my, hang on, which way we go here. You can see I'm going to show you my vision board right up there. You can see my vision board, the joy.
I love that.
And like, that's, we talk these things into existence when we write them down, when we, we create our reality by the things that we do, the things that we say, the things that we think, I think back to 2009 when I was on my first retreat ever. And I was sitting in a circle at the Callanish Society, which is an organization that does week-long retreats for people with cancer. And it was their very first young adult cancer retreat. And I remember sitting in this circle and everybody was having the opportunity to open up and share how cancer had been impacting their lives. And I remember there was this one woman, and she started to speak and share her story. But she started to talk about her sexual abuse that she experienced in her childhood. And I remember in that moment, just like literally sitting back in my chair going, oh my God. And as everybody continued to share their stories, I just remember thinking that I'm actually not here for my cancer. I'm here to heal the wounds that caused my cancer.
Isn't it crazy how that works? Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden, in the next moment, when it was my turn to share, I shared the story of the sexual abuse that I experienced at the hands of my grandfather during my childhood.
Yeah.
And I spoke about how growing up, a lot of the language in my house was to be seen and not heard and be a good little girl and do as I was told. And so I realized that in that moment, that keeping these secrets inside my body had made me sick. And it's not by mistake that I'm here sharing my story and my journey to being on the TEDx stage and wanting to get on more stages and share my story, because people need to know that our stories are meant to be shared, that these difficult things that we go through in our lives are not meant to be stored in our body. They're meant to be spoken out loud.
Very much so.
They're meant to be shared. And I don't think it's by mistake that podcasts are exploding all over the world and continue to becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
Because people are meant to do this. We're meant to connect. We're meant to share. We're meant to know that we're not alone. We're meant to sit in these circles or one-on-one and see other people nodding their head and
Yep.
go, me too,
Yes.
me too.
Yes. I couldn't agree with that more. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I just came in May, started my 5th season.
Amazing.
And my very first year, I would just like find people that I knew that had been through anything, which was almost anybody, right? We all go through things, no matter how big or small they are on whatever scale. And it was really it was very heavy. Like the first season, honestly, was probably the heaviest because I brought on people that I knew that had been abused and that had not ever really talked about it or had talked about it and it was just kind of pushed aside. And they were just kind of silenced. And so these people that I knew were coming on and it was just audio that first year, maybe the first couple of years, but they were coming on and they were talking about these heavy, heavy experiences. One of them was 3 episodes long. There was so
Wow.
much to talk about, and just this one young girl's experience in her life that it ended up being 3 episodes. And it's just, had she not had those conversations with me and gotten that out of her system, and she'd been to therapy, she had been to conversion camp of sorts, she had gone through these different things, and she never changed who she was. The things that people try to suppress and try to kind of get her to be quiet about her experiences, her feelings, her thoughts. She was able to be herself and talk about this, and it changed her in a good way. And I know that it healed her even a little bit. And it's one of the things that I love about doing this. And I 100% agree. These things that we've gone through, they deserve to be talked about because things don't start getting recognition. Sexual assault, autism, things don't start, cancer, awareness, they don't start getting recognition until people start talking about them.
Right.
And so for so long, people were told to be quiet about sexual assault, especially within your family. Don't talk about that. We don't want people looking at us a certain way, judging us, whatever the case may be. And now people are allowed to talk about it. And they're allowed to call these things out. And they're allowed to teach people that this is not okay.
Yeah.
I was assaulted as a toddler, and it was never recognized, never talked about, never reported, nothing. I didn't even have a conversation about it until I had a still image memory in my head. And I asked my mom in my 20s, and she was like, "Oh my God, how do you know about that?"
Wow.
And so, no shade to my mom, but she wasn't made to feel like it was okay to talk about those things. There were things that happened to her she never felt like she was allowed to talk about. And so it just, things never start to change if people aren't allowed to talk about them. And so that is 100% spot on what you said. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that moment, like I said, when I was sitting in that circle and I was like, this is what we're here to do. We're here to share these stories, and keeping them inside. I shared one of the stories. I had an opportunity just recently to speak for International Women's Day. And I had come back from this 2-month trip, and I had so much pain in my right foot that I could hardly walk. And it really mattered because I was 3 weeks away from hiking the West Coast Trail, which is an incredible trail that many people know. I think it's, I can't remember correctly, but I think it's 72 kilometers. It's 7 days and 6 nights long,
Wow.
backpacking. And I was like, how am I going to hike this trail? Like, how am I going to do this? I can barely even walk on my foot. And so I was desperate. So I phoned this woman that I've never worked with before. And I just said, can you get me in? And 2 days later, I was laying on her massage table and she looked me directly in the eyes and she said, Shannon, you're full of resentment.
Oof.
And I was like, oh. And that moment I was like, oh my God, I've literally been spending my whole life people pleasing, being what everybody else wanted me to be, not being my authentic self, not speaking my truth, not speaking what's on my heart. I've just been doing everything for everybody else.
Right.
And that same week, 2 other practitioners told me the exact same thing. And I walked into my massage therapy appointment and I looked at my massage therapist and I said, Daryl, I said, my foot is still so unhappy. And he looked at me and he said, Shannon, is it your foot that's unhappy or you that's unhappy?
Uh-oh.
I was like, oh my God. And, during that session, I released so much emotion, anger, frustration, sounding, like all the things.
Yeah.
That I walked out of that session 1 hour later and my foot was healed. And
That's
3 weeks
crazy.
later, I hiked that West Coast trail with no pain.
That's
And not
amazing.
because my foot had been healed,
Right.
but because I'd finally chosen to live in alignment with myself, with who
Right.
I truly am. And it was an absolute game changer. And it's such, I don't know if you know or follow Gabor Mate, when the body says no. He's an incredible psychologist out of Vancouver here. And it's the whole idea that when we don't speak the things that are within us, those physical ailments, and no different than me and my cancer and my childhood abuse being this link, the link to my foot and the pain in my foot was emotional pain that I hadn't spoken out loud.
Yeah.
And so many of us are walking around with this pain in our body that we're trying to treat physically, and yet we don't even know that it's a lot of emotion. And it's not by mistake now that my ongoing daily ritual is to dance.
I love that.
I dance every single day. I put music on in my kitchen and I turn my little kitchen area in here into my little dance party. And I put on great music and I move whatever needs to be moved, whether it's anger or sadness or frustration
Oh, yeah.
or all the emotions, because those things are not meant to be stored in our body. They're meant to move. And when we have a daily practice of moving that emotion, it doesn't build up and we don't find ourselves with this chronic pain that's in our bodies.
Right.
And so maybe that's other people go on hikes or they go swimming or whatever your way of moving that. Maybe you're a runner, but for me, dancing is my way to move my energy.
I love it partially because no one has ever said that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not I mean, people talk about, oh, dancing, it makes me feel good. But to put it in a perspective like that, of like, okay, some people run, some people daily meditate, some people, they have their different practices. But dancing is something that's so fun, and it's such a good thing to kind of put into that category. But people don't really talk about it like that. But that's such a good point.
Good. It's for me, it's like medicine.
Yeah.
Dancing is my medicine.
And you mentioned these emotions that we store in our body. And I'm going to relate it to my youngest son. But this completely applies to adults too, because I feel like, children do it. They don't realize it. Adults do it. They don't realize it. But it's a little more of like, most of the time we haven't dug deep enough. children are kind of like, well, they don't know how to dig, right? Because they're still learning these things. They're still learning their emotions, more or less what's underneath the emotion. He started school, and there's just like a lot of stuff that kept coming up behavior wise. And so fast forward, we get all the way to age 10. And it's just stuff. It's just difficult times that we had through our parenting journey. He had a lot of violence and a lot of like, but never like toward me, but other people. So long story medium, while he's 10 and I'm talking to a parenting coach, I actually had her on here. I was doing her interview, and she mentioned something to me, an ICU letter. And you can do this with adults too, because I plan on doing it with my teenagers. But an ICU letter, basically it's kind of, I see you and you list their accomplishments, and I also see, and you list kind of a thing, because you don't want to bombard people, right, with information, a thing that they're struggling with. And so, and then you kind of, hey, I'm here for you. Let's work through this together, and so on and so forth. And so I wrote this letter, I gave it to him, and I give him time. I slip it under his door, I give him time. And I come in his room, he just walks up to me and hugs me and starts crying.
Oh.
And he's like, I feel a little angry all the time, and I don't know why. And I'm like, well, buddy, I know. Whenever you're ready, let's talk about it, And we had a conversation, and the conversation kind of led to hurt people hurt people. Why do we feel angry all the time? This is why. And that anger, we want to take it out on everybody we can, because we can't actually hurt the person who is causing the anger. So we want to take it out on everybody else when we can, which explains why he didn't do it to me. He did it to other people, kids, people that he could express his anger to, and he wouldn't, have like immediate consequences, because he's a kid and that's how they think. But I think we do that a lot as adults too. And a lot of it doesn't have to just be anger, but a lot of times we don't realize it until someone maybe points it out, and we make that correlation, typically in therapy or, a setting like that. But it just kind of stands out to me so much, because yeah, like, I don't know, it was crazy, but it was also like, yeah, makes sense.
And this is the thing that a lot of us, aren't taught to regulate and to really pause and look within. And what's showing up for me right now is, I used to be quite judgmental, and I used to be the one that pointed the finger at everybody else. And I used to be the one that wasn't able to regulate my emotions, until there was a day where I realized that when I point my finger, that there's three fingers pointing back at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing of it is we can't change anyone. We can't fix anyone.
Right.
And there is a little saying in this little booklet that I have, and it says, if you want to create an enemy, try and change someone. Right? And the thing is the only person that we can change, or the person that we need to support, is ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I work on myself and love myself and give myself permission to feel all the things, the ripple effect is incredible. And I talk about this in my TED Talk with, my son. There's this moment where I realize that kids do as they see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we can't tell them what to do, but we sure can be a model for what we hope that they will do. And, you slipping this incredible note under the door saying, I see you, gave him the opportunity to just be with himself for a bit and digest what you had written on that beautiful letter, and be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't about me, and what I'm doing to other people. This is about me feeling frustration and not knowing how to be with it all, But then when we can pause and give permission to give language to that, like,
Yes.
how freaking incredible is that? And like, I just think about our kids, and like, I don't know about you, but I feel like that each generation that comes into this planet is like more tapped into something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
about my kids and their ability to like tap into source,
Yep.
and even tap into me.
Yep.
It like blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I'm really proud of for myself is when my son was dysregulated and he would come up here
Mm-hmm.
and I would just join him up there. And then I would
Yes.
go up here and then he would continue to come up there. And now when there's this energy showing up and I can feel him building, I
Mm-hmm.
just stay down here now.
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly comes down and meets me here. But
Yes.
that takes incredible awareness
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
ability to breathe
Yes.
and be like, okay, like I can't change that person, but I can change myself. I
Right.
can change how I show up in this situation. And if I stay grounded, then that gives permission for the other person in my space to stay grounded. And that
Yeah.
isn't about changing anybody, it's
Mm-hmm.
about me and how I show up.
Very much so. One of the things that I learned as a parent is that, there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, I feel like I don't have a lot of time for me as a mom, especially as a mom with multiple children. And sometimes we feel kind of bad when we take time for ourselves.
Mm,
Even if you have just one kid, that time where you're like, okay, I gotta work and focus on me. I feel like I'm taking focus away from them. And it took me a long time to learn that if I don't put some of that focus into myself, I can't continue to be better. And if I don't continue to be better, how am I going to impact them to do better? You
yeah,
know? Um, I think it's a generational thing,
yeah,
right? Because a lot of us heard or were taught, be seen, not heard, behave, just sit here and be quiet. And for those of us who have ADHD, especially as a kid, that's hard.
oh
But it's
yeah,
my son has ADHD and it's been hard for him, but also it's not as hard now that I understand I have emotional intelligence and I'm not perfect, right? But like I work to do things a certain way now that he also has made those changes. I don't have to tell him like, hey, chill out as much now because I've taught him more intentionality. But I
yeah,
had to learn that first. And that came with me taking the time to put some focus on myself so that I could be a better mother, you know?
yeah, yeah. There was a lot of me feeling quite guilty. My ex-husband used to work away, and there was a lot of guilt even with him being away. And then, oh, if I go out and do all these fun things
Right.
with my kids because
Right.
he's away at working, a lot of my worth too growing up in my particular household, and I don't think it's much different from a lot of people, but I think a lot for myself, a lot of my worth was wrapped up in what I could do
Mm-hmm.
and what I could produce.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, being the good mother
Right.
and how everybody saw me on the outside. And, heaven forbid, like I go and do something for myself. But
Yeah.
this is the thing, when we fill our own cup, we have so much more to give our kids,
Mm-hmm.
so much more joy too. So
Right.
when they see
Right.
us living our best life, like even just in the last 2 months, there's been a real switch. I've been on my own now for about a year and a half in my own condo here. And there's been a massive switch in the last 2 months where the joy I'm feeling in my life is like overflowing and like just literally overflowing, like pouring out of the
Mhm.
cup.
Right.
And
That's
it's
amazing.
because it's like I've been on the spectrum of the depths of the depths, and
Mm-hmm.
now coming full circle, like I'm on the other side of the incredible joy that is on the other side of literally being to that place where I didn't want to be on the planet anymore,
Right.
and but watching what's unfolding for my kids as they're witnessing me step into my joy, like
Mm-hmm.
watching my daughter, like she's got a new car and she's, stepping into like all these amazing things that are going on in her life. And it's not by mistake
Right.
that all these incredible things are also unfolding for me.
Yeah.
It's like that's back to what we were talking about before, that ripple that starts here, that
Yep.
flows from within us outwards.
Right.
The answers aren't out there. The
Right.
answers aren't out there. They start here
Yep.
within. And it starts with choosing ourselves, being our authentic selves,
Yes.
saying no when we really want to say no, not
Right.
yes. Yeah.
That's
You
a
know,
big one, though. That's a big
right?
one.
Right? Like,
That's a big one.
actually, I don't want to fucking do that today. I
Right.
don't want to do that.
Yep.
No, fucking no.
Yep.
And I mean it. Like, yeah,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't even, how many times I've said yes when I've really wanted to say no. And then that's back to that resentment word, right?
Right. Right. And sticking to it. Don't do it because you feel bad for saying no, because that's kind of easy in the beginning. When you're on the journey of setting boundaries, you want to backpedal and say, okay, because with certain kids, I do that. Certain kids don't try to push those, but younger kids. Okay, well, if I ask again, maybe she'll say it. Or people out in the world. Oh, well, if
Right.
you give me another, I mean, especially as a business owner, like trying to hire people, I was like, how many chances am I supposed to give this person to complete this simple task when they don't even show up? And it's like, oh, well, I can try. I gotta say no, like, because you're messing with my business, or whatever the case may be, whether it's business, kids, whatever, you know, learning to set boundaries and keep them in place. It's hard in the beginning because you feel bad because you're used to pleasing everybody, making sure everybody's happy, but
But
if you're,
boundaries are the most beautiful thing that you can do
yeah,
for yourself
yep,
and for the other person.
very much so.
And
Yeah,
it's not by mistake. So I have 3 pillars that I speak about in my speeches. And the first one is authenticity. Second one is boundaries. And the third one is the knowing that everyone is our mirror. And authenticity is, really showing up as your authentic, real version of yourself. But we
right.
actually can't be authentic if we don't have boundaries.
Yes, very much
Can't
so.
be our authentic selves if we don't have boundaries.
Right. Yeah.
And then if with this piece around everyone is our mirror, if we are doing all the things and not paying attention to, the outside world that's reflecting back to us,
Right.
the things that
Right.
we actually need to look at, the triggers,
Yeah.
and that can be in relationships or whatever is showing up.
Yeah.
It's being brave enough to know that when we're triggered, that's actually something for us to look at,
Yes.
not
Yes.
somebody else,
Very much
not
so.
projecting that onto somebody else. So now when I find myself a little bit like off, or somebody's saying something to me, or even if I notice I'm a little bit like, ooh, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It's the old me would be like, well, what are they saying? Oh,
100%.
and now it's like, oh, okay, so what's here for me to learn? And
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is such an amazing turnaround when we can own our own shit.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I've gone through that same journey, especially with kids, teenagers, young adults,
Oh, yeah.
not so much the young adults, but the teenagers. Whew, the teenagers. And sometimes I'm like, why did I react that way? Like they didn't even say that in a way that's like disrespectful. I just felt like they were pushing. And so I got, you know, like, why did I do that? Like, that's a me thing. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real beautiful place to come to that moment. I don't know if you had the opportunity to ever work with plant medicine.
Mm-mm.
Probably one of the most transformational moments in my life is when I did a psilocybin journey with an incredible medicine woman. And I took the medicine around 6 o'clock in the evening, and we journeyed through the night until 5 a.m. in the morning. And I remember showing up at her place thinking, okay, we're just going to take the psilocybin and I'm going to go out into the forest and I'm going to frolic around. And she had this sleeping bag on the floor and an eye mask. And she's like, no, honey. She's like, we're going inward. Like, you're getting in the sleeping bag, we're putting on the eye patch, and you're going inward. And I was like, oh shit.
Right. What the hell have I gotten myself into?
And I remember my big huge takeaway from getting up the next morning was all these years that I had been projecting my anxiety onto my kids, pointing the finger at them that they're causing me all this anxiety, was this moment where I realized that my kids are just reflecting back my own anxiety. And it was
Mm-hmm.
such a humbling moment. Or
Yeah.
is like, oh my goodness, this isn't this again, it's like this pointing the finger, and there I was going, oh my gosh, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
It's me. It's only me that I can change.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
And it's sometimes, and that was the moment it was a week before that plant medicine journey that I was looking for the exit button from this planet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't know how to be with myself.
Yeah.
And having the opportunity to connect with this incredible woman and be able to realize that it's not the outside world. Uh, there's so much more. It's so freeing when you realize that everything is right here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is right here. Everything that you need is within.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because when we think that it's out there, that's where the fear shows up. And it's
Mm-hmm.
coming back to ourselves, coming back to trusting ourselves.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's something really powerful when we can trust our own wisdom.
I completely agree. I feel like I spent the latter part of my 30s learning that I can't control what I can't control. And it sounds like such a simple statement, right? Mm. But I think that when you early in life experience a lack of control,
Yeah.
usually stemming from some kind of abuse or assault, that you spend a lot of your life trying to gain control of everything that you can and keep control of everything that you can. And I spent, the latter part of my 30s specifically, learning that I cannot control everything. In fact, that I can
Yeah.
only control what I can control. It's such a powerful statement. It feels so simple, but
Yeah.
it's such a impactful thing to figure out. You know what? All this stress and anxiety I have over all these things that I can't control, I can't control them. So fuck it.
Yeah.
Trying to be control, trying to control everything. It's not working and I can't. So whatever. There's times at night I lay down and I've weaned myself slowly off sleep medication. And which is a huge like celebration for me. There's sometimes where I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even take it. Yes. You know,
Yahoo!
because I took it for like 3 years and I was just like, I don't want to do this, but I need it. I thought, and maybe I needed it for a period of time, right, to get me through some things. But there's times where I'll lay down at night and I'll start thinking, and that's an ADHD component as well, I know, but
Mm.
it's also a parental component, right?
Hmm.
The component of a wife, a mother, all these things.
Yeah.
And I have to tell myself, hey, you can't control any of that while you're sleeping. So just go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Good night.
Surrender.
I can't. You're right. You're not.
Surrender to it all.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things that one of my TEDx coaches taught me. And he said, Shannon, it's okay to not know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay to not know.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like that moment where you're at the edge of the plank and you're going to step off, and you just need to trust that the universe and something bigger than ourselves
Very much so. Yeah.
has got us.
Yes.
And
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
this is the journey. As I keep moving towards bigger things and bigger stages and meeting incredible people in my life, and it feels some days like, oh my gosh, I don't know, it feels so overwhelming, and
Mhm.
yet each time I step up to the plate, I'm still alive on the other side.
Yes. Yes.
And it brings me full circle back to that moment where I'm like literally in this chemo treatment. And I remember my first chemo, I didn't take water, I didn't eat, I couldn't, nothing would stay in my body for 8 days. And
Wow.
I was just in and out of emergency. And you come back to those moments where you're like, man, like I can do anything. I
Right.
can do anything. If I can do that, I can do anything. And I remember telling my oncologist that I don't want to do chemo. I have a really sensitive body. I don't want to do chemo. And
Yeah.
I knew that my body wasn't going to react well to chemo. And I was that 1% that violently reacted to chemo. And in the end, we had to stop because I was going to die.
Yeah.
And, these are the moments where I get the opportunity to reflect back and go, shit, like if I can do that,
Right.
sure the hell can do another stage. I sure the hell can do another Facebook Live. I sure the hell can jump on another podcast. Like
Yeah.
it's perspective, and it's, reminding ourselves where we've been and the
Yes.
incredible things that we are capable of when we believe in ourselves. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Unfortunately, unfortunately, we are coming up on time, but we could just talk forever. I feel like everyone who's listening, please let them know where they can find you on social media, any web links or anything like that that you want to throw out there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also find me on Instagram. You can find me at shannondonohoesimpson.com. I've got some really exciting things coming up, including an online event, which is happening for summer solstice at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're into celebrating the seasons, this will be an amazing opportunity to connect with me via the internet. And so for all, and also I will be doing an online 1 hour workshop on June the 25th. And that is going to be, it is titled Brave Enough to Be Yourself, which I'm super excited about. So if you want to hear more, you can go to shannondonohoesimpson.com. Again, you can find my YouTube, LinkedIn. You can watch my Toolbox Tuesdays, which today was my 200th episode. So exciting. So amazing things, lots of ways to connect with me. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. This was such a beautiful conversation, and I am so grateful.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we could do this. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm really proud of you, by the way. Like
Oh,
I just met you recently, but I am just the things that you've accomplished and how powerful sharing your story is, and acknowledging that, and trying to teach other people that. And I just think it's amazing. And so congratulations, all the things that you've overcome, all the things that you've shared with other people, the tools that you've given other people to, kind of get through life.
Brave, showing
Yeah.
up and being brave every
Yes.
day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for spending this time with us on Just the Who of Us. We hope today's conversation offered reflection, comfort, or a moment of clarity. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who may need it. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, you're not alone in the journey.